Hello, everybody joining us. My name is Jake Kane, and welcome back to the WMA podcast. We had one for the books today. For my first interview on the podcast, I had the pleasure of interviewing who some might consider to be the GOAT, the former president of WMA, a guy who is going full time with Plante Moran after graduation, and also a guy who is an all around class act who simply just enjoys guiding and listening and helping the people. My friend, Justin Halvorson. Justin, I honestly can't believe this is happening right now, man. We met through the research center or the Russell Palmer Center in Broad, and you've been a really big help to me, and I can't believe how the tables have turned. You're leaving, I'm entering, and it's from you. So I'm very appreciative, and I'm very excited for this interview.
Jake, I appreciate it, man. Thanks, dude. I know. It's funny how the tables turn. I remember the first time we met, man. You're a smart kid. You've always asked the right questions. So happy to be passing the torch.
Awesome. I'm very appreciative. So yeah, man, let's just dive right into it. Just wanted to get a little background from you to start us off. Some things. How'd you end up at Michigan State? Specifically your involvement in Wealth Management Association and why you eventually decided to pursue finance and wealth management.
Yeah, absolutely. I always call myself like a non-traditional student. I'm from the Metro Detroit area, so I graduated high school in 2012 actually. So you can do the math on that if you want. Went to Central Michigan, so fire up chips. Right after high school, briefly. Always was interested in like psychology, so originally thought psychology, but knew I didn't want to get a PhD, so it was like a sociology major at CMU. Also was like, this is not for me at all. So I left CMU very shortly after I started there. Actually came here to Lansing in 2013. So I worked for a property management company for a few years, ultimately like lived above the leasing office of this small little 60 unit complex, managed all the apartments, and really wasn't happy there, quite frankly, just like kind of at CMU. So how I fell into financial planning and wealth management, I never even heard of those terms before I came to MSU. So while I was working at this property management company, I actually started LCC, Lansing Community College, took some business classes, was kind of aiming at accounting, but did not want to do accounting as well. Took that entry level in accounting class, was like, yeah, that doesn't look like fun. So just kept aiming at business, ultimately applied and got into Broad, and just heard Professor Schiestel and a few students actually speak about like financial advising. I was actually just speaking to another student today about this. And like the stat that got me, I think, was there's more people with their CFP over the age of 55 than there are under the age of 30. So like when you actually take a second to think about that, that just like blows your mind. Like that means there's so much opportunity out there right now. And in the next 10 to 15 years, there's going to be even more opportunity. There are people who have been advisors for 30 years who are quite literally starving for young people to take over their businesses. So never even heard of financial planning or wealth management, really was just looking for a good job. And when I heard how much opportunity there was out there, I was sold. So that's kind of it.
Absolutely. So could you kind of talk to us about your involvement in Michigan State and why you wanted to pursue the Wealth Management Association? I mean, you literally built this thing from the ground up. So could you kind of talk to us about, where it is right now? How did you allow that to happen, and maybe some of your biggest challenges?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to take all the credit because this has always been a team thing. I have to say that. I mean, first and foremost, Professor Schiestel has been the forefront of everything that's been happening. Like he is it's a bit of a burnout in high school, didn't really take it too seriously, but like he always spoke to me. Like, so I know for me, like he's always been at the forefront of everything we have to do. And somebody too, who maybe a lot of people aren't familiar with, is Elizabeth DeMonte. Elizabeth was somebody who first introduced me to WMA, the first ever Broad Fall welcome. God, I think it was fall of 2018. And it's my understanding that she founded WMA. Like she's at JP Morgan now. She's got a great job over there. And it was her who like kind of pulled me in, so to speak. So shout out to Elizabeth, because she was the one who founded this club. I've actually was there the first year. So I think 2018, the year she founded it, was like I was one of the few people sitting in the classroom there in the Epley Center underground. But sorry, your question is kind of like how, my leadership and how I built it up. It's just kind of being inspired by the people in front of me and the exposure to professionals. So the reason I joined a club, let's just be honest, at the end of the day, is to get a good job. Like that's what it is. Like I joined WMA because I want to have a good job that pays well after graduation. And like these are the resume bullet points. So WMA has been awesome because it's exposed me to financial advisors who have shown me like through all these different things, like the podcast. I can answer any specific questions about how we started those, but like really it's just the professionals around me and the people before me. They inspired me, and they were like, hey, there's this new thing that it's brand new. You can really do whatever you want with it as long as you're passionate, you want to get other people involved. So it was being inspired by those people before me.
Absolutely. I very much agree with that. And that's something that we've talked about multiple times is, how people learn the best from other people, and, just the exposure you got from, seeking those professionals, having conversations with them. You really do learn a lot, and you decide what it is that you want to do or what it is that you don't want to do. So you get to narrow it down that way. And that's very helpful. So going back to the Wealth Management Association, could you give us, maybe some of the big takeaways that, you hope students coming up through WMA and, young kids at MSU, what do you hope they get out of it?
Yeah. Well, that this is a people business at the end of the day. I think that's like the bottom line, what they get out of it. Wealth management, no, whether you're in like a client facing side or you're somebody who's like operations, maybe back office, just maybe executing transactions, this is a business about helping people, which is incredible. So I think some of the most powerful thing I learned is that, quite frankly, is like everything that we're doing here should be about helping others and educating other people. Like that sounds a little bit cliche and a little cheesy, I'll admit it, but like the reason we're going to be financial advisors is we need to help people with their own finances. So can you repeat the question, to be honest with you? Because I'm kind of rambling a little bit here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what are some of the big takeaways that you hope students get out of WMA? The young kids coming up, what do you want them to learn?
Absolutely. Thank you for repeating that. So one of the biggest things is be a good listener. Like that's the most important thing. So no matter while you're going into financial planning or corporate finance, you need to be a good listener. So the world of business is all about communication. Like that's it's not the dirty secret, but that's just what it is. Like if you want to get ahead in the business world, you need to be able to communicate your ideas to people in every single capacity. So what I want people in WMA, like what I've really learned is learn how to be an effective communicator. Learn how to convince other people of your own ideas, quite frankly. Like I get a lot of credit for the things that have gone around WMA, but quite frankly, I don't think I'm the idea guy. I can't think of a single thing like the podcast or the Spartan journal or the mentorship program that I came up with. These are ideas that other people came to me with. And I listened to them. I'll take credit for listening, but I listened to what they had to say. And I was like, that's a really good idea. Like hearing what you have to say, you've convinced me, you got me, you sold me. So what I want to say is like, listen to people, because if you actually listen to them and you don't think about what you're going to say the whole time while they're talking, because that's what we all do. Come on, you want to admit it. We're all sitting there like, what am I going to say? How do I look smart? He said this one thing. Like resist that urge and listen to people, because you will become a much better person and you'll learn some like incredible things along the way. So that's what I want people to learn, really. It's just become a good listener and a good communicator, and know that it's all about like the client at the end of the day, that this is a people person business, that we're trying to help other people along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Providing that gift of listening is something special, and not everyone can provide it, like you said. So that's a very important thing for this industry. I absolutely agree. So going back to why you decided to pursue wealth management, this is a very cliche question, but why do you enjoy it so much? I mean, is it just, the people that you work with? You just want to better everyone? You learn from other people each day? I mean, what are some of the reasons why you think you will enjoy wealth management for, your career after college?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. I mean, the short answer is I don't know. I don't know because I haven't done it yet. As bad as that sounds, hopefully my employers aren't listening too closely, but I'm still a college student who hasn't seen it all. But what I do know, yeah, is that I do really enjoy helping people. Like Jake, using you as an example, man. Like I had the pleasure of being a career coach this year. So at the Russell Palmer Center, for anybody who doesn't know, that's like the career business center here at Michigan State. And what you can do is you can make appointments on handshakes with seniors who've had internships in your degree, not your degree, to help you figure out, job search strategies, resume, what have you. So I spent the whole year working with people, helping them find jobs, which was one of the most rewarding experiences of my entire life. Like it was so freaking cool, man. Like I had my boss, Kristen, reach out to me with you, Jake. She's like, hey, there's this kid who's going to be reaching out to you to set up an appointment. Like he knows he wants to do finance. He doesn't really know that much about all these different finance jobs. Just tell him your experience. Like that's exactly what happened. We've met a few times. You have an internship, so I'm putting you on the spot, but you have like an awesome internship this summer in financial planning. And when we met, dude, like you didn't even know really what it was. And it's like, so what I know is why I want to get into wealth management is I've had those experiences like that. Like I've also seen that within WMA, even helping people figure out they don't want to be within wealth management. Like that's why I think financial advising, why I'm going to really enjoy it and why it's something I want to do. It's like, I think it's a Warren Buffett quote, but really it's like a founding father quote, but it's somebody is sitting beneath a tree right now. That was, the seed was planted many years ago, something along those lines. I butchered the hell out of that quote, but basically it's just really, really cool to build something and watch it grow over time, because like that's I don't know, that's true wealth. That's true knowledge is something that takes a long time to build. And in financial advising, you get to do that. You get to like make a meaningful impact on people's lives and be with them at different steps and make a real impact. So that's why I think I'm going to like it.
Absolutely. I commend you on that answer. You have been a great resource to a lot of people this year. And, it's really special to, be able to feel that from your end that you're, helping these people. So that's a great point. So moving on a little bit, we talked about, your exposure in wealth management, why you wanted to pursue, this industry, but what are some things that you made part of your routine, maybe outside of wealth management, that, maybe accelerated you more into this industry? That could be, books, podcasts, blogs, people that you've talked to. Why did you build this interest in wealth management through those things?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good, yeah, I like the short answer first, and then I ramble on, as you notice. So the short answer is discipline, so to speak. Somebody whose book I read a few years ago, I'm gonna drop his name here. He's a controversial figure, but I do respect the man, is Dr. Jordan Peterson. His first book, 12 Rules for Life, is something I read, and it changed my life. And why it changed my life is what I took away was, before you judge the world, make your own bed. Go and make sure that everything you're doing is perfect, as best as you can make it, before you try to change the world. So I think that's the philosophy long before I even got into wealth management that I try to approach things with. It's like, wake up every single day with that David Goggins, like go get it attitude. Like, don't, no days off. Like not that you need to go run a marathon every day, but like wake up every single day with an attitude. Like you're trying to make yourself better and you're trying to make the world around you a better place. So things I do to try to do that: exercise is so important, man. Like, not trying to get all preachy, but dude, like mind and the body go hand in hand. If you're not exercising, or at least trying to eat right, sorry, you're not gonna make it far, especially the older you get. I'll just say it. So like, you need to get in that exercise routine. I'm one of those crazy people who likes to wake up and do it, so 6 days a week, I'm up at 6 a.m. I was not like that. That was a habit I had to build. So like, trust me, it took, yeah, man, but it took a while, dude. Like I was that 10 a.m. person for a long time. So you build that habit. And then eating right too. Like I don't eat the best. I like my craft beer, I like my whiskey, but like I still eat my smoothies and my protein shakes in the morning. I try to I try to balance it out. So I think like, I don't know, like things that have helped me is like discipline, so to speak, man, like trying to make sure that my mind and my body are right. And yeah, being a constant learner. So, just be curious, right? Like I know me and you have talked about like the Wall Street Journal. I'm a big fan of the journal. I've got a bunch of specific newsletters I read every day, like the Morning Brew. I've got some from Investopedia, but I think no matter what you read, as long as you're trying to stay curious and try to ultimately like aim upward, make yourself better, make sure your own room is clean, your own mind is clean. Like I think that is what I try to wake up and do every day above all else. So that goes like beyond wealth management. And I think that like what that ultimately does is like that makes you a better person for your clients. Like you're less stressed out, you feel better about yourself. And you're a better advisor at the end of the day. So I think like, yeah. So I don't know, specific recommendations. Do you want some of those maybe of like what I'm reading now, stuff like that? Or
Yeah, for sure. Go for it.
so yeah, I know right now I'm reading Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's an old one, but that's a really good one. I've got a couple on the shelf. Like I said, 12 Rules for Life is so good by Jordan Peterson. I have to say, people give him bad flack. Don't get into the media stuff. Just read his book. That's all I have to say. That's all I'll say about him. And this one is great too. Is Simple Wealth, Inevitable Wealth by Nick Murray.
Yeah.
Great book, super short read. Changed as somebody again who is interested in psychology. I come from a family of like law people. um that changed my mind about stocks and what being an owner of a company actually means. So those are some good books. Podcast, Animal Spirits, of course, you got to listen to Animal Spirits. And then I do like a lot of the stuff from the Red Holtz guys, I will say. And then of course you got to plug so Plante Moran too, where I'm going to go work. Plante Moran does awesome market updates and insights, so definitely go check those out. They're fantastic. Those come out weekly. So
Absolutely, man. So, going to the Plante Moran thing, could you kind of tell us about, your past experience working for them thus far? And obviously you're going full time with them. So, could you talk about maybe your excitement or maybe some things that you were exposed to or hoping to be exposed to in your future?
yeah, absolutely. I loved like Plante Moran from the beginning. I'm really on board with their message. I'll make that clear. I like I said, we've had a lot of exposure like in WMA. So give Elizabeth and that original team credit. My first year, I got exposure to Plante Moran, JP Morgan, all these different people. And what I remember first about the Plante Moran wealth management people is they were talking about how they don't have to sell right away. That's huge to me. Like not having to learning how to be a financial planner before having to build your book of business, because traditionally it's the other way around. Usually financial planners have to struggle to get clients and learn how to become a financial planner along the way. Like Plante Moran, that's the opposite. They teach you how to become a financial planner first, and that's what you do. So that always spoke out to me. And then B was like Plante Moran's one of those companies, and two, I drank the Kool-Aid. I'll say it like even the people who don't work there say it's a great company. Like every single person you talk to is like, I love working there. And it made me figure out I don't want to work there anymore. Or I love working there and I'm going to see myself for the rest of my life. Like in my internship, that like all the partners, they have people who've been there for a long time. And then there's this phrase boomerangs, people who they spend some time at the firm and then they leave to go somewhere else. And then they come back because they're like, man, this place was so great. I can't believe that I left. So clearly I had an internship with them last summer. Well, excuse me. But I've been exposed to them since like late 2018, since my time on campus. Quite frankly, like I don't know if I've ever said this thing, but I've been very single-minded. Like they were pretty much the only firm I focused on my junior year getting a job with. I also like applied and interviewed at Comerica, but like Plante Moran was where I wanted to end up. And it's because of the culture at the end of the day. So my experience as an intern, I was in their Detroit office, in Plante Moran Wealth Management, a lot of acronyms, PMFA, so Plante Moran Financial Advisors. So I was supposed to be downtown Detroit in the Meridian building, but because of COVID, everything was moved online, unfortunately. But I still had like a phenomenal experience. So I worked here in this apartment. My desk was actually 180 degrees. It was right here. So my chair was in the exact same place pretty much. But I got to do a whole bunch of things, which was fantastic. PlantMoran, they work in a very teams oriented model. So every partner kind of has their own team instead of clients that they work with. What's really cool is I had like a primary partner, Jackie Vernier. Shout out to Jackie. She was on the podcast. She's amazing. She's who I'm working for full time. And she's like, her and her clients, her team is who I mostly worked with. But I also got exposure to the other partner in the Detroit office. I also got exposure to some of the Southfield people. And I got to do so many different things. So update balance sheets, sit date, like that sounds boring, but like go into client deliverables, do a bunch of trades on accounts, which is so cool. So I'm not the one proposing the trades, or I am the one proposing the trades, not executing the trades. So don't worry, I'm not screwing with people's money at the end of the day. I'm just putting it out there. So that, like, all that kind of stuff, like what they like to tell you is that you are, as an intern, doing essentially what you would be doing as a full-time advisor, which is just so cool. So I'm starting there full-time in August, same team, same partner, same awesome city. I think we are going to be fully online. That's what I've kind of heard through the grapevine, but I think Plante Moran does expect to be in a hybrid model, at least in some capacity. So I couldn't be more geeked about that.
That's great, man. I'm super excited for you. So could you kind of talk to, the people about maybe why Plante Moran differs from other financial advisory businesses? I mean, what makes Plante Moran, better than them? What are things that they do differently than maybe a Schwab or Edward Jones or whatever it may be? How do they differ?
Yeah, good questions. You said better. I didn't. You said better. I didn't. That was you. So,
I
but
did.
yeah,
I did.
yeah. I couldn't agree more. And again, that's my opinion. So to give people a little background too, I'm sure like some of us will know, but like, so Schwab, I'm glad you brought them up. Plante Moran uses Schwab. So Plante Moran is an RIA, registered investment advisory firm, which means they're an independent advisor. So that means, I guess backing up even further, Plante Moran is primarily an accounting firm with wealth management and financial advising, not like as a part of that umbrella, so to speak. So financial advising firms, different finance firms, like a Charles Schwab, for example, that's a brokerage firm. That's like a custodian. So you can have your money with a Schwab. You can even have a financial advisor with a Schwab. But a lot of people, the custodian part of it is a Plante Moran. We're independent because we don't have our own products. We use Schwab products, Fidelity products, Vanguard products. We don't have your assets housed within our umbrella, so to speak. We're independent. We have them at Schwab. So we are essentially like an independent third party who's advising you. So that's what makes us different from a Schwab, so to speak. And then an Edward Jones. So where an Edward Jones differs in a Plante Moran is they're not independent, which there's advantages and disadvantages. Like as somebody now has interviewed people on both sides of the spectrum, I fall on the RIA side, I'll say that. But like, I do think that there's nothing, like the broker model is there for a reason. And there's tons of advantages to use it. So where an Edward Jones is different is they're using essentially their own products versus us at Plante Moran. So they manufacture their own products, or they have a relationship with a firm where they use their own products. So there's advantages to that, right? Like you can get a bigger discount on the products. But I guess where the caveat comes in is those people who are advising you might also make a commission. So I don't want to like call out specific firms, and that I don't know Edward Jones specifically. I'm just throwing that out as an example, but that's kind of what makes us different is we don't manufacture our own products at Plante Moran, and we're able to use the full array. So we can go to Schwab. We can use Edward Jones if they have a product that would work. We can use any insurance product, and us as advisors can look at the needs of a client at any level and pick and choose from. So that's kind of a little that's why we're better. So.
Absolutely. I got you. So, kind of giving advice to the younger guys or girls coming up that want to get in this industry, what would you recommend for them maybe picking the right company that fits them? So like you said, you really enjoyed Plante Moran, you love the culture. Advice that you would give to me when picking out a business to enter. I mean, what am I specifically looking for?
Great question, Jake. Great question, man. Keep asking these questions, dude, like this, like to everybody as a host. Like, dude, the short answer is a job. As a junior, somebody is at the internship level, just get a job. That's the answer. Because it's more important to figure out what you don't want to do than it is to figure out what you do want to do. That's been my experience. Like, so I just turned 27 last week. I'll tell you guys, like, I have done everything I thought I wanted to do, and none of it was what I wanted to do. So now I'm sitting here going, this, I finally think I figured it out. Michael Kitsis told us when he was on our episode that like you should shoot for your third job out of college being the one that you want. Like the first one, yeah, just get a job. The first one, you're probably going to hate it. And then the second one's going to be the total opposite of that. And then the third one, you might start to find the balance. So I think that's my advice, because I really found in my experience, it's not as important to figure out what you want to do as it is figuring out what you don't want to do. So getting any internship in like if you're interested in financial advising, if it's at an insurance company, if it's at an RIA, if it's at a broker dealer, getting any internship while you're in college, I would say do that, because I'm biased toward Plante Moran because of my experiences. But that's because I've been out there to see what the other firms have to offer. And I know that it fits into mine. So I don't want to give tailored, like everybody's a different person, right? So I think my advice is just like, get as much damn experiences as you can. So get an internship, go to WMA next year. I know you guys are going to have some sick speakers. Listen to what they have to say, because everybody's personality is a little bit different and every firm has something different to offer. So that's my advice.
I got you. That's awesome. So kind of changing direction a little bit, I wanted you to kind of discuss with everyone the CFP designation. So, after you graduate, Michigan State has this beautiful program, financial planning, wealth management program, and you're qualified to actually sit in on the exam after you graduate. I mean, that just pretty much puts you one step ahead of a lot of people. So could you kind of talk about maybe that specific designation and why it would be important for people to get maybe entering the business?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's, somebody who like came in strategically to MSU. That's why I got it. And that's what first drew it to me. Like we've got CPA programs, there's those 5-year MBA programs, 5-year CPA programs. The beauty of this CFP program at Michigan State is it's like going to be a minor next year. And it's a program that you can take and still graduate on time, graduate in 4 years. So I don't know, I can't give you an exact number, but like your pay bump as a financial advisor, like you get a pay bump when you have that designation behind your name. Like that's the gold standard. So I think why it's so great is it's very new. CFP, I don't know the numbers, but like it's really become popular in the last like 20 so years, this designation. And there's not too many colleges that offer it in this like minor undergrad capacity. So like Central Michigan has a whole financial planning major. They've been around for like 20 years. And I love CMU, great school, but like it's not Michigan State. It's not at the Eli Broad College of Business. So I think our program really sets us up because you get like the clout of MSU, you get to be a Sparty from a great business college, and you also get this professional designation that sets you up like from the get-go. Like from the get-go, you're going to get a pay bump. You're going to be differentiating yourself. And to use a little anecdote here, so PlantMoran, we do like a buddy system. What that means is as an intern, I had somebody who was like 2 or 3 years above me, was my buddy, checked in with me all the time, made sure I was keeping up. And it was just super nice because it was somebody close to my age I could just talk to like we're doing. So she graduated from Detroit Mercy. She is an accountant. Like she had a CPA. She had like a 5-year CPA thing. And she still, after 5 years of that, I believe, had to go back and get her certificate program to get her CFP. And she just graduated with that. So like that alone, that's the norm, is these certificate programs and these people who do it after graduation. So like the big value add at MSU is like, because it's a minor, anybody can essentially take it. And you can knock it out on time, which is not the norm at most places.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's that's the beauty of it. I mean, it's great. And we're very blessed to have that. So so kind of going back to your MSU experience, could you kind of touch on maybe some of the wealth management courses that you take or that you took, or the finance courses that you took in your career that maybe excelled again your interest in financial planning? What did you enjoy most about those courses or your involvement?
That's a good question. All right, I'm going to pivot literally. I'll tell you the MSU ones, but here's a question. There's a class that I took at LCC that always I'll stick out. It was like this management class. And the reason I always remembered it, I can't even remember the professor's name, but he talked about how he's, people you meet at LCC, it's not like it's a full range of people. So he's talking about how he grew up here, very poor in Lansing, very working class family, joined the military, was in the military for like 10 years, came back and literally like hit rivets at a plant for 10 years. Said he was like the fastest rivet hitter like ever. It was like, and he's still proud of this. Like, I can't remember, but like, he's like, dude, I could like sledgehammer this many rivets into a car. Like, it's crazy stuff. But then he talked about how he got a sales job at this really nice clothing store in town, Costa Checks. So started as a salesman. It's like the best dang salesman he ever wanted to be. And eventually worked his way up, manager, co-owner, owned the store. So owned the store, sold the store. Now he's a management professor. So I loved that class because that professor, was the best damn storyteller I've ever heard. So all the professors and the stuff that I like are good storytellers and they're engaging. I hope I'm an okay storyteller. I know I tend to ramble, but I try to be. So I remember that because he was like one of the first teachers who was like, I want to make class interesting. And those are the classes that I've always remembered here at Michigan State. So I don't want to, yeah. So Professor Schiestel, he's the best. He's the best. I've never had such an engaging class as his. I know Finance 370, the Intro to Wealth class. When we had that in person, I feel so bad for all the guys who had to take it online this year. Cause like when I had that in person, that was the best lecture ever. Like just like talking about stuff, hearing an anecdote about a client that's straight out the textbook. Professor Schuster can be like, oh, I remember when I did this for this client, not giving names, but like it was just, it clicked with me. It really clicked with me. The other class I really enjoyed in the wealth management program was the estate and income tax planning class, which was kind of strange because that's like the accounting class. But shout out to John Annable too. Like John Annable is on that same level as Professor Schiestel. He's a great lecturer. Every class, he always starts with like the Wall Street Journal. It's like, all right, here's the SPAC craze this week. Like, what does this mean for financial accounting? Like, it was super interesting. And I liked the estate and income tax planning class because it just was super real world and applicable. So like I took it last fall when the election season was going on. So like we're talking about like, okay, here's the estate tax exemption now, but here's what Biden wants to propose, and here's what could happen if that, you know what I mean? And it's like it was just super cool to like, all right, this isn't just dry out of the textbook. I hope I'm not leaving anybody out. If there's any professors, I apologize, but like all the classes were great. I really enjoyed them. And what I found, at least at Michigan State, if there's any young listeners out there, it's like the further you get in your classes, the more interesting they get. They just get more interesting. So.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Yeah, I have yet to take a class that I have actually 100% enjoyed. So I could say I'm very excited for senior year. That's when you get into the good stuff like you did. So, yeah. So last thing I have for you, a student pursuing, wealth management, like obviously we've been talking about, starting down the career path, let's say, the undergrads right now. I mean, what would be your one or multiple pieces of advice to these people? I mean, going into the industry, obviously you've had a lot of experience and exposure through being a peer coach, having your internship, being the GOAT of WMA. I mean, what is your piece of advice to them? How will they succeed? How do they win every day?
So first, I'll give two here. First is be a good listener. Like I said, I struggled with listening for a long time. Learning to be a good listener is everything. Like it's everything. Like no matter what your personality is, who you are, you need to be able to listen to other people. So work on that. That's what I have to say. Like I started meditating. Meditating's not for everybody, but like that helps me. And just making the conscious effort to listen every single person you talk to, treat everybody the same, no matter it's your professor or some freshman or high schooler that you just meet. Actually take the time to listen to them. And then the other one is like say yes. Say yes. So it's funny when you say the president, it still doesn't make sense to me how I'm the president of a club. Like I dropped out of college. Like just think about that. Like to me, like there's a big part of me that still thinks about that. Like I'm only standing where I am today because like I said yes to the things that people I looked up to told me to do. Like there's people you respect and you ask them the questions that you're asking me. And I said yes. Like I went to so many recruiting events for Plante Moran. That's how I got the job. Like they're on campus all the time. They're always doing virtual stuff. Go to those if you want to work there. Go to them. Meet those people. I only I only got to go and be the president of this club and travel all across the world. I got to go to California because of this club, because I said yes to, basically my girlfriend at the time pressuring me into going. Like it was like, hey, you should go. This is a good opportunity. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Look where things have turned out. I never even heard of the Wealth Management Association before that, and before sitting in these classrooms and hearing Professor Schiestel. So become a good listener, try to be a good listener. That's the thing everybody can work on right now, is to really try to be a good listener and say yes to things. Say yes to, quite frankly, everything until you're too overloaded to say no, because like you're young, you have energy, you have opportunity. Like I was at the bottom and now I feel like I'm at the top, and like it can happen. It can happen. So that's what I have to say.
Yeah, Justin, I really appreciate that advice, and I'm sure everyone listening appreciates that advice as well. I mean, you're really a true joy of a guy, and I'm very excited that I got the opportunity to meet you and have these exact conversations multiple times, and a lot of people can learn something from you. So it's really been a treat for us to be friends, and I'm very grateful. So I really appreciate the time today, and I'm glad that you got to come over on the other side of the Wealth Management podcast this time. So it's awesome.
Dude, me too, man. Jake, that just, that makes me so happy, man. Like this is what it's all been about. Like I said, like people helped me, people reached their hand down to me. So like I've tried to do that, man. I'm so excited to hear your episodes, man. Like you ask the best questions. You're such a curious guy, which is great. So dude, I want to, it's surreal to be on the other side. So this is what I'm gonna say, because I can't give it up yet, man. I'm gonna ask you a question. Jake, what do you want to do next year, man? Like what are you looking forward to as a podcast host?
I am, I'm looking forward to meeting new people. I mean, meeting business professionals. I mean, it's scary to say, but we are adults now. I mean, time is flying and it is scary, man. I mean, it's actually scary, but I'm very excited to, like you did with the podcast, meet these people, learn from these people. I've learned so much from you just in the few months that we've known each other. And it's like, we've been boys. It felt like we've been boys for forever. And, I'm really just excited to learn from other people's experiences and, gaining those mentors like I have with you. So that's what I'm most excited for.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Who's your one person, if you're a dream person, you could get on next year? Snap of the fingers. Let's hear it.
Man. I don't know. I mean, I feel like you got some top dogs on here. I don't know if I can one up that.
Dude, you can. You guys, there's always can. You always can.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I'm excited. But yeah, Justin, this has been awesome, bro. I appreciate you, and I'm glad that we got to do this. I'm glad I got to be the one to interview you. So
Absolutely, Jake, man. It's been my pleasure.
Yes, sir.
If you liked what you just heard, please like, comment, and share. msuwma, or Michigan State University Wealth Management Association, is a student organization part of the Eli Broad College of Business located in East Lansing, Michigan. Our mission is to inspire and educate the next generation of financial planners. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed it, please check out our channel on all platforms such as Spotify and Apple Podcast. And check out our social media at msuwma and msuwma.com.